Those
What
are
else you got?
good point. No, I like it. I heard Grant Cardone. I can't remember word for word what he said, but it was something along the lines of basically if you don't want to use leverage or you don't want to use debt, then you're just lazy. Like you don't want to work as hard. And it's understandable. It's not saying that those who don't use debt are lazy, but as you said, and as Dave Ramsey said, there's a lot less risk involved when you just own a property outright and you own everything cash and you don't have to report to a bank or any of that sort. But when you are using leverage, as Dave Ramsey said, you can, if it is your goal to scale higher, then yeah, you can use leverage to do that and do it faster. But in doing that, there's a lot more work involved and a lot more, I guess, high pace stress or risk involved. And to Dave's point, or as you were saying as well, following Dave's path is basically, it's going to get you to that millionaire point if you follow it step by step. It might be slower, um, but it'll get you there. And if that's your goal to just be financially free, then you'll get there doing the Dave method. But if your goal is to scale at a very high pace, then using leverage would get you there. But it requires a lot more risk, a lot more work, and a lot more everything.
And it does either way. And so the property that I had that burned down, I love to use that property. The property that had that burned down, own it free and clear. And let's say if I finance it, then the property would have been roughly about 1,100 to 1,200 bucks a month. That's what I would have had to pay in a mortgage payment. The insurance company in the whole rebuild only paid me twice in the year from the time it burned down to the time it was repaired. It only had two payouts. It had the midterm payout and the end payout. So the midterm payout, let's say, was 6 months, and then the end payout was 11 months out. In between time, so from 0 to 6 months, who's on the hook for that mortgage payment? Me. Even though the insurance was going to cover those insurance payments, I got to get to that 6 months to get those insurance payments. I mean, get the insurance payment to cover the mortgage, because the lending company or the mortgage broker is not going to let me sit there and not pay mortgage for 6 months.
Right.
I have to have that money in the kitty in storage to pay it. And most people, and this is how mom and pop investors, new investors get in trouble. They don't have that money stored to the side to handle those situations. And those situations do arise. When I first started out, I thought, oh, there ain't nothing gonna happen. This is gonna be a perfect world, smooth sailing. Just like you see in the social media world, making it seem like rental property is just a smooth sailing. There's no issues at all. But the truth is, any and everything happened in that time. When that property burned up, the property manager called me on a Saturday. He called me like it was just another random Saturday and said, "Oh, the property burned down." Of course, the property manager is no big deal to him. But for me as an owner, there's a problem. And then if I had a mortgage on that property, I would have been shitting bricks. Let's just call it what it is. Because this happened on like the 18th of the month. Mortgage payment would have been due on the first. I probably had one mortgage payment in the account to cover that if I had a mortgage on there, but I didn't have 5 more months of mortgage payments if I didn't have it, because the property wasn't generating money like that. And then you add in the fact that maintenance costs and everything else is going on in between time. I didn't have that cash sitting there if I had a mortgage payment on it. So understanding how this dynamic works. And that's why we try to give you the real what it's like to own a rental property. It's not roses and bubbles that, oh, you just sit back, do nothing, and the money comes in. Because stuff happens all the time. Right now, that same property that burned down that I rebuilt, I'm having to evict the tenant. Now the tenant could have sit there and stayed there forever if I didn't come up with the $900 to pay to the county to evict it. No, just think, if my cash flow, let's say my cash flow was $300 a month or $200 a month on a property, and it took me $900 to evict her. I would have had to wait 3 months to get cash flow, and of course she's not paying, so it would have been money coming out of my pocket to evict her. Of course, still paying the mortgage with her not paying the rent. That's what would happen.
Right.
So those are the things that you have to factor in when you're owning rental properties. That yeah, most of the time it's good. Checks come, checks come, checks come. But then situations like this happen. And then yeah, this is what year 4 or 5 that I've owned a property. So yes, I've collected a lot of rent payments, but people ain't sitting there saving all the rent payments just waiting for a bad time to happen. But when you have a mortgage and all the other stuff, if you don't have this money, so just imagine if this was my first rental property and this was the first tenant I ever had, and now I gotta find $900 somewhere to pay to get her out. And then of course when she moves out, I'm gonna have to pay more money to turn that unit to get it back up to be rentable. That's why owning rental properties is a capital intensive business, because you have to have the capital to do it until further cash flow reimburse you for what you went through. And I've turned many of properties and it costs thousands of dollars to do it. It's not $2 or $3 here, 20, $40 here. It's tile, cabinets, flooring, cleaning, demo, trash cans. I mean, the big what's that big
The dumpster.
thing? The big dumpster. All that stuff costs money. And if you don't have the capital to deal with that stuff, then you're on the hook for it. And then you're sitting there looking crazy. Just like in the class we talked about last night. The people that you take advantage of right now in this market to capture a real estate deal is the people that wasn't prepared for these situations. That's how it works. Because bad times are going to happen. And that's how we look at it.
Well, guys, if you have any comments, if you guys watched the video as well, let us know what you thought down below. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and we'll see you guys in the next video.